just don't want one. I mean, there's no sense, because if it's part of the safety plan, you know, if I'm not signing the safety plan, I don't, you know, that's my choice. I don't want an ongoing caseworker, because that's a fact. Because it has to be court ordered and everything else. I don't want one.
If it has to be court ordered,
it has to be court ordered for me to. Gotcha. I do not want a caseworker or ongoing caseworker, because I didn't sign the safety plan. I don't want one. Period. I don't want one.
Well, we do have to open for ongoing services. It's up to you whether you want to.
I don't want it. I don't want it ongoing. I do not. That's why I come down here to get my pictures and everything else, because I don't want an ongoing caseworker. I didn't sign a safety plan. I do not want caseworkers coming over there 3 times a week and everything else.
Well, that wasn't a caseworker. That's just we contract with agencies like Step by Step, Open Horizons, for them to come in and do visits and services like caseworker.
There's no safety, safety involved. Just because, every once in a while that I, bring it up and reassure him that he's not going, that's not a safety issue. That is not a safety issue. There's, if there's such an issue, then he'd be pulled out of there. Because basically, if I don't go by what's on that paper, he can be taken away. And I just don't want an ongoing caseworker. I do not want, I didn't sign a safety plan. I didn't want none of that.
Okay. Well, you remember what I said about there's intake, there's an intake unit, there's ongoing, and then there's court. I work for court, okay? I'm a court worker, but I happen to get your investigation because you know why. So, but in between is this ongoing, and their purpose is to try to help with services, to try to assist you.
Well, you closed it Monday. You closed it Friday or Monday. You closed the investigation Friday because you needed all that stuff from my doctor and whatever. I'm tired right now, so I'm looking around trying to think. I cannot think straight at all.
But I mean, I'm trying to say that you don't need a court worker. The ongoing worker is there to help provide services.
Yeah, that's ongoing CPS caseworker.
Yeah,
I do not want that.
I understand.
And I don't have to have that. I do not want it.
I have to open the case. I have to.
What case? I don't understand.
I have to open it for ongoing services because of the safety concerns.
There's no safety concerns of Jordan. There is not. I don't want an ongoing caseworker because it deals with a safety plan. I don't want it. Period. I don't want it.
And I understand that you don't.
I don't want it. That's one of the reasons I come down here. If I don't want it, I don't even have to let you or anybody else come in my house. I have to have something from the judge stating that, yeah, he can, I'll sign that so they can come over there. I didn't sign anything. I didn't sign a safety plan. I do not want a caseworker or anybody coming over there 3 times a week, and every, I don't care, if it's a few times a month, I don't care, just to check up, but there's no safety concerns with him, at all. There's not, because that's not safety. That's not a safety issue at all. His mental health is destroyed from the last 8 years. There was no safety plan between there. Eve had a safety plan. She broke hers, so...
And she lost him. She lost him. You had him.
That wasn't the reason. The safety plan was not the reason why she lost him.
Maybe not the only reason that contributed to...
No. There was...
Well, I wasn't there. You were there. But my understanding is that what happened is the reason why she lost...
What was that reason, though?
Custody. My understanding is that she was found to have abused him, and that's why you have custody of him.
No, there wasn't enough... well, she found that she abused him, then she should be in prison, right? If there was,
CPS and criminal are 2 separate courts.
Not if it's felony.
No, they still are. They still are 2 separate courts.
No.
Okay.
Criminal, so it's not criminal beat your kid, because...
It is criminal to beat your child. But what I'm saying is they're two different processes. Like I have court cases. They're not criminal cases. They are civil cases. It's under civil law as well as criminal that you can't abuse your kids. So I have cases where, like, I have kids who have disclosed that parents sexually abused them, right? So I make a referral to the police department and the sheriff's department, depending on where they were living, and then they do their investigation. I still work with abuse and neglect. I still work with, say, Judge Bean on an abuse and neglect situation where the criminal stuff, the law enforcement works with the criminal stuff. So that's their job to do. I cannot arrest somebody. I can't, do any of that stuff.
Yeah, but that's why you go to court. Because if she's found, that's felony. Well, what was happening to him?
Not in abuse and neglect. I'm telling you the truth. There's family court, and then there's two types of circuit court. Circuit court has civil and criminal law. They deal with everything. Yes, they do. They don't deal with the family court issues that they deal, or magistrate. Magistrate court deals with some of their stuff, but I don't really understand.
So basically,
but there are two pieces. There's the civil law, and then there's criminal law.
That's because they lost the evidence. So therefore, it's not criminal because they lost the evidence.
Those two proceedings are totally
I know, because there wasn't enough evidence. Reed had to go from what was in front of him. He had nothing. So therefore, it's in between criminal and whatever, and that's his decision whether or not, well, let's decide whether if I have enough evidence to press criminal charges against her. So from what he doesn't have in front of him, so it's sort of...
But he won't do that in abuse and neglect proceedings.
What's that?
Abuse and neglect is civil law. That's not criminal law. They will not mix the two. Yes, if there is a criminal case pending and we have an abuse and neglect, we will defer that criminal case. If we think a parent should go to jail, that's going to affect our abuse and neglect case. We can't provide services to somebody who's in jail. They're not going to get their kids back if they're in jail. So they do influence each other, but they are totally different proceedings.
It's not criminal. Felony 3 on a child is not criminal because it
is criminal. That's the criminal part, though. I don't have felony.
That's why we went to court for. That's what we went in front of the judge.
So maybe I don't know, because I don't have the time to review back your whole case in 2005. But if it was criminal court, then it was not CPS abuse and neglect.
CPS was there.
Well, sometimes we get called in to criminal.
Everybody from CPS was down there, stating whether or not it was child abuse and neglect. It was founded because that's why we ended up in circuit court. It was founded for...
But circuit court can be either civil or criminal.
That's exactly right.
No, I'm saying, but not the actual hearings. Each proceeding gets its own court number, goes on its own path.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know which exactly yours was. I really don't know.
Well, that's why we end up, because family court has nothing to do with child abuse and neglect, right?
Not usually.
Do they at all? Have they
Well, sometimes they'll have a situation where there's abuse and neglect going on, they'll make a referral to CPS, to criminal, or not criminal, well, to criminal too, but to civil abuse and neglect court, so they don't deal with it in...
So if it's found that there has been child abuse involved, does it still stay in family court, or does it...
If somebody files a petition, it goes to circuit court.
Automatically?
Mm-hmm. Automatically, the petition.
So that there's no time and place it should be in family court at all?
Well, that depends. If somebody's getting a divorce or if something's going on in family court.
Well, I'm saying
what does this have to do with your situation? Were you in family court at one point?
No, I was just asking a question. I didn't know the difference between the two. I didn't know if there was a difference between, like, if there was, like, child abuse and neglect that it stays in, so that in family court, if child abuse and neglect was founded that for the judge to stay in, the family court for a little while, and for the judge to actually determine it was child abuse and neglect. Is there like a couple hearings before the judge decides it's a child abuse and neglect?
Family court doesn't decide whether there's abuse or neglect.
Okay, I didn't know.
They're not the ones that decide that. They could make a referral to CPS, and they do that often. Then they require that we do an investigation.
Hello.
I don't.
Okay.
Don't pass that.
I'm sorry, man. I just get really excited.
We've talked a few times, huh?
I just get I completely apologize. I'm pretty laid back and everything else, but it comes to my son getting hurt.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well, Richard had come in saying that he does not want an ongoing case. He doesn't want an ongoing worker. He doesn't want to sign a safety plan. So he was just letting me know, and I let him know that I have to open a case because of policy. So it's kind of, we got off the subject.
I just don't want to, that has to deal with a safety plan that I didn't sign. An ongoing caseworker is part of that safety plan. So I didn't sign anything to give anybody permission to keep coming over to my house. If they want to come over and check every once in a while 3 times a week, that's ridiculous. Because there's no safety.
That wasn't a caseworker going over. That was a worker from an outside agency that would do.
She has to deal with her, though. She has to deal with.
Yeah, I'm just clarifying that it's not a caseworker. It wouldn't be myself. It wouldn't be Tammy coming over 3 times a week. It would be an agency.
Well, what is Tammy then? You said that she took your place.
She's an ongoing worker.
I know, that's part of it.
She would be coming over, but not 3 times a week.
Well,
she doesn't have time to come over and see her families 3 times a week.
She would have that person coming out initially that 3 times a week, and then they would just report back to her. And if things are going fine, it's not going to last that long anyway.
Well, basically, if I signed, because I didn't sign a safety plan, so basically, if I didn't go with what it said, my son can be taken away from me. That's a fact, and I just don't want that to sign a safety plan because, it has to, if there's talking about that around Jordan, about what happened, that's like I told her, a safety plan wasn't back then when he got hurt. Where was CPS back then? Nowhere. So just because I talk about, that around him is because of reassuring him that he's not going back, and his attitude completely changes from depressed to running around being happy. But I don't sit there and say, every day, well, whatever. I'm reassuring him. His attitude since he has not been with them has completely changed. He's a much more happier kid than he was.
And if we would find that after a period of time, we're reassured we're out of here. We don't want to be there any longer than we have to be.
Well, I don't want caseworkers coming over. That's period. Like I said, I don't have to sign anything, have to be court ordered from the judge. I don't have to sign anything, and I can say whether or not that a caseworker or anybody else comes to my house.
But that's true. You don't have to sign anything, but then we would have to take it the next step, which could ultimately mean that we do end up in front of the court. Then the judge is going to tell you how it is, and it might be worse or more strict than what we're asking you to do. You're taking your chances, and that's up to you. I'm just giving you the facts, and isn't that fairly accurate?
Mm-hmm.
In a nutshell,
yeah.
We're saying we feel, based on our assessment, that we would like to watch things for a little while and make sure everything is as you're saying it is. And if it is, it'll be great, and it'll be over, and we'll be gone.
Within 8 years, have I ever been reported? No.
But we can't base it on that.
Why not?
We have all kinds of cases we get for the first time, and the kid's 12, 15 years old. There's never been a report before in those people's lives. But maybe something happens that's never happened before. So we have to take it and look at it. If we assess it and we feel like we're seeing something we're not sure and we don't know, then we just watch for a while. And we ask that person to sign a safety plan that says, here's the things that we're going to do. The child's still there. Any child is at risk of being taken at any given time if we get a referral, period.
Well,
that's just the way it is. But what we want to do is prove that there is no reason for anything like
Judge
that.
proved that there was nothing. There was nothing going on. there was no concern about his safety. There's never have been, just because I, reassure him because of my medication, because I come down here and was pissed off because you guys knew from day one that he was getting hurt. What parent is it going to be, just because,
What I told you yesterday, I said I would be disappointed if you weren't concerned and you didn't want to.
But that has nothing to do with me being psychotic. That's why this whole thing is about what he's not receiving these medicines. That has nothing to do with finding out. CPS for 8 years knew what she was doing. Now she's in prison, and it's not an old charge. It was a recent charge. Right there in itself, she has broke every court order from the last 8 years. She did not pass her improvement period in 2008. Right then and there, without the anomaly of the court, that she didn't pass her improvement period. So she should have lost both of her, Ariana, and Jordan. Now what happens, which is a fact, since she's a drug abuser, a known drug abuser, selling and whatever crack cocaine out of her house, she just got her rights terminated. That's a fact. There is no other whatever thing that she has. There's no improvement period, because that's one of the biggest things that you can, whether it's a court order or not, that serious of a charge is fatal.
Well, all I know is back from 2008, you have your son now.
Yeah.
And that's just where we're at now. All that, we're not dealing with any of that right
It has to do with the case where we were in.
But we're dealing with what has occurred in the last few months. And we're saying, if you give us a little bit of time and somebody comes in there and you show that, yeah, hey, things are exactly what I told you. Ha, ha, ha. I hope that's what you're able to do, is say, ha, ha, ha. You guys are wrong. And then we're gone. If you refuse to sign it, she has to go back and assess it with her supervisor and the coordinator of the CPS department, and we have to make a decision what we do.
Okay,
and then we contact you and tell you what we're doing.
Well, that's fine, because I'm not signing anything.
Okay. Well, that's fine. We're not going to argue with you over it. I mean, it's just your choice. And then we have to do what we have to do. So.
Well, you have to find that I've ever been incompetent or like that. He's never, I made a referral to her about her being in prison. No cross report. That's completely false. That's what I was told. I know pretty much what CPS is supposed to do during that time. That was a referral, basically stating, because I was like, oh, wow, I finally got her screwing up. Right there, you guys would have a thing.
It sounds like some things have caught up with her anyway. If she's in prison, she's in prison. I mean, when she gets out, if she's going to want to see the child, that's going to be up to you, how you decide to protect that child and what you want to do about that.
Yeah.
And we won't have anything in there unless you want us involved somehow and you make referrals or whatever.
Well, I did.
We'll investigate those as they come up.
I mean,
There's nothing to investigate right now. She's not around.
But the thing about it is, I've made referrals over the years. Nothing was ever done about it.
I wasn't here in 05, so I can't tell you that it would be different. I'd like to say that it would have been, but I can't tell you that because I don't know what transpired in 05.
And plus, it should be thrown out anyway, because caseworkers withheld the last time in court my evidence that proved in fact that she was getting in trouble. So they withheld evidence again, because it has to do, when you open a case, that has to do with, you can submit any evidence as long as it's dealing with that case. Period. That's a fact. What was in those documents were very heavy on her, that had to deal with the whole case. They were not handed to me. The evidence of that and the statements that were the investigation of what she's been going through, because that was part of her court orders.
And if anything would come up in the future from this point forward, and you have concerns, we're going to definitely listen to those if something comes up. If she gets out of prison, she comes back, she's wanting to see the child, you're saying that ain't safe, you make a referral, whatever, we would deal with that.
Well, that's withholding evidence.
And
That's completely
you would be
withholding
able to present
evidence.
whatever you wanted to at that point. There's no reason for it right now. She's not even around.
That was part of the hearing, was my evidence to back up my claims of everything that she's done. And to say Ernie Douglas got it in there on a false statement, that was an old charge. It's not an old charge. She was just, back when court started, she was but when she was charged, he was 2 months off, and it wasn't an old charge, and that would prove that evidence that I had proved that he was off by 2 months. You cannot make false statements, one. Now, if it's off by a day, maybe, that's overlookable. But when you're 2 months off, and this, and that, the judge isn't even going to hear that. That was my evidence to present any type of evidence that goes into court, whether, to prove that this, and this. If it's opening up the case,
And if you're on, what do you want all that to accomplish? That you're talking about from this 2-month thing and all that? Keep her from seeing the child? Is that your point?
no, because she lied under oath, and her mom did too. I mean,
And what do you want to happen because of that? At this point?
well, that's perjury on the stand,
Okay.
and then she perjured again about a tax matching.
But this is all after the fact. We can't do anything about all that. We don't have anything in that. That's a court matter. That's what I was telling you yesterday about getting the attorney. If you feel like you've got some things there that you want to deal with, you need to take that to an attorney, because I'm not even sure if they can do anything with it. This is after the fact. We're dealing with the situation we have right now.
That was whole part of the court
Which is you and your
procedure.
son. It's not your dog.
The
This-
safety plan and the investigation that I'm finishing doesn't have to do with that.
I'm not talking about that. I was
Okay.
talking withholding evidence from court that was vital. She could submit a telephone that has a text on it. The only part of that would show that I'm loony upstairs. Yeah, that does, and that doesn't have to deal with the petition. But what I had, like I said, about all the stuff that was going on, has to deal with that case, has to deal with him being abused. Period, point blank. Why didn't I get that in
Can
court?
I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why, when all this stuff happened in 2005 and 2008, why are you now asking for this stuff? Because we're in 2013.
Because I was refused. Those were lost. I was refused like the papers I got in court, I've been refused those. I've had
Since 2008, you've been refused?
2005.
Since 2005.
I've asked for the photos to be found. Well, it wasn't actually the photos. It was a roll of film. So somehow somebody along the line had them developed. They were never lost. That's a fact. They were never lost.
Okay.
I've asked for the investigation, whatever you want to say, the referral reports.
Right. And I think we've covered all that up for you there, haven't we? We've given you everything.
Yeah, but that was what I needed for court.
Back then.
Back then, and now, that's why I wanted them before court, to get stuff together and say, hey, this is what she's doing. I did not get those. I got them in court.
What happened in court? What do you remember happened in court at the last hearing?
Remember in court, basically, let me see, she lied under oath, CPS withheld photos,
No, I
and...
mean, what did the judge decide?
Well, that doesn't matter, because if it would have been any other day, it could have been turned out differently. If it would have went in front of another judge, it would have been like, oh, well, you withheld your son, and I could have been in prison. If it had been any other day, any other judge, I'd be in prison, which by CPS not bringing that up in court, which everything has to do with it, I could take it back to court and file for a new trial, easy.
With all this stuff that we've given you, that's why we gave it to you. If there's something you want to do with it, you can do that.
Well, CPS, and since you guys are still on it,
We're not on anything with the F5. We're on this referral that we have right now. And that's you and your son.
then why was, CPS at court then? Because that was the whole point why, your guys' decision on whether I withheld him.
No. I see what you're talking about. You're talking about the hearing you had about visitation. Right?
Yeah, the motion that Ernie...
That was just a motion about visitation. That had nothing to do with CPS.
It didn't? Then why were they there?
I can't remember.
We were asked to be there.
I think
The court asked us to be
I
there.
think the court asked to be there if the court decided that they needed our input or if they needed us to do something.
Well, why didn't you guys do something from off those referrals then? There was referrals that you guys kept in court.
But
That makes sense.
when we get a referral, what a supervisor looks at is whether there's, within the time span, whether there's a safety, a present danger, an impending danger, and there's definitions for those things, and whether there is a current concern
There was.
She's in prison.
Her mother,
He's with you.
her mother's put him in danger. That's a proven fact. He was in danger when I found, I didn't even know half of this stuff was going on, so I started reading these reports. That was a danger issue with her mother, with his, Eve's mother, was letting Eve's ex-boyfriend around him. That's proven. That's been proven everywhere. That she also didn't report him getting hurt. That's proven. About him being around drugs and
That's
everything.
not a current
But those are all
referral.
past things. We can't do anything about it.
I'm talking about why you're talking about why we were in court is that there was
Right,
a safety
right.
concern. That's a safety concern. I don't understand what you're talking about. You guys have me so
But I
backwards.
think, but I think the judge also said, or I don't know what he said, I won't say what he said, but I'm assuming that they didn't feel there was any issue because Mom's in prison and you were
He
concerned
didn't
about
make a
visitation.
decision. He
Right, he
continued
continued it,
it.
right.
22nd.
But Mom's not even available for visitation.
But that's why it was not brought up. By withholding that information, that's why there's another hearing. Or another hearing decide whether or not.
Well, that would be better than him making a decision not knowing everything.
Well, the decision should have been more in favor of myself because those referrals were supposed to be handed to me way before court because that's what I needed those papers for. So when I went to court, I'd have evidence against that. You see what I'm getting at?
Okay. Well,
I kind of feel like I know what you're saying a little bit. And you have all that stuff now, so when the hearing comes up, what, April 22nd? You've gotten everything now.
I don't have everything. I still have stuff from 2004 that's missing, missing papers. I've pretty much put them all together from the referrals from over the years. There's hardly any of the referrals. I mean, there's some that we've made. There's a bunch of them missing. There's papers missing, pages missing out of sections or whatever, where he got hurt.
Richard, to be fair, when I went over to your house for the first time, and that was right after we went to court the last time, you had the paper spread out all in front of you, and you had piles.
Mhm.
When I started going through those piles, you had papers from a referral and an investigation. They were all mixed up. So I tried to put them back together as best that I could, but those were all mixed up. So I don't know that you would be able to tell if there were.
Oh, I got them all together. There's paper.
Okay.
It will say from 1 to 10. There's like 6 and 5 and 4 missing. Then the whole report of her that stabbing that she was involved in, aiding, abetting, cleaning blood out of a car, that's missing.
Well, that's a criminal.
It does not matter if it's a criminal.
But we don't have those documents. That's what I'm saying.
But why did I only have 2 of them? If you don't have them, then why did I only have 2 out of 10 then? Because there's
I don't
missing.
know, but honestly, when I looked at those papers, they were all confused. So I have no idea. I know that what was handed to you, because I watched them hand it to you, they were in piles, for, the referrals, they were in order. But they weren't in order when it came over to your house. So I'm just saying, you've got them.
And the only thing I can tell you to do is if you've truly got them in piles and sequenced, and you've got page 5 and 6 missing out of this referral, and you can write that referral number down and say, I only have pages 175, I need page 3, 4, 5,
That's on
9, 10. If you can do that, I will make them go back through those files and make copies of those pages.
And then back when he
I
got
don't have
hurt.
any problem with doing that. If you can tell me that they're truly not there,
Well,
we would get them for you.
Well, when
Remember what I told you yesterday? We have no reason to hide nothing from you. No reason.
well, then how come I haven't gotten this all over years?
I don't know. I can't answer
They
that.
should have.
I don't know from past. But I know that these, as best I can do, and this is all you're signing for, is saying that we are giving you these. It's not saying that you're saying anything, but you're just documenting that I gave them to you.
And these are originals. We don't usually give out originals, so you're getting the full deal here.
Well, I'll just note that I signed those. I'm not going to sign. I don't sign anything. That's
And
because
I can't give them to you if you don't sign.
I didn't sign for the last ones.
That's because they were just a copy. And because there's been such a big deal made out of it, I want documentation that I have given you what I consider originals. Not you. What I consider originals. And if you still want to refute that they're originals, you have every right to do that. But if you don't want to sign for them, I can just take them back to the file. It's not a problem. So,
Well, then you're withholding my evidence.
I already provided them to you. I'm doing this out of nicety.
Okay, I'll sign it.
I'm doing this out of nicety. We don't have to give them to you again. This
Yeah,
is ridiculous.
well, you can call Tanny O'Connell and ask her.
Tanny O'Connell turned this back over to me. It's me now. You don't have her anymore. Yeah, I'm in charge. So you can sign this. You're just signing it. But read it. Read that. It doesn't say you're saying anything.
Okay, it says,
I can. Richard Provost was given a complete set of photographs from the paper file. These photographs are the originals contained within the file as verified by Wood County DHHR, not by you. You're saying they're not, and that's fine. But
So-
I want verification I gave these to you.
okay.
That you're saying
So-
that I gave them to you. But if you still say you don't have originals, you're going to have to prove that somehow. And I don't know how you do that. You said you know something about PDF
So-
and Photoshop and all that. That's fine.
Um,
Oh, this lady here is Kathy. She is my operations supervisor who got these pictures for me, so I have a chain of command. I gave them to you, and she's signing off that she gave these to me directly from the file. And you're signing just saying that you got the pictures.
so what I'm signing right now,
Mm-hmm.
what's this, April 11th? What is today? I thought today was the 12th.
Today is the 12th. I thought you said you were coming yesterday.
Oh, I'll put,
You want me to change the date?
yeah.
And I'll initial it.
Can I get a copy of that?
Absolutely.
So when I,
You sign it, I'll go out and make a copy and bring it back.
okay, that's fine. So this is just for these pictures.
Yes, and it says we say they're originals. It does not say that you say they're originals.
Okay, that's fine. That's a little sloppy.
Are you the second?
Yep.
I am too, except I scribble one more than you do.
Yeah. Well, whenever I want to write needed, depends.
I'm going to ask you to go ahead and just put RP right there that I changed that date. Just RP, your initials. That'd be fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll be back with this in just a second. We're going to have to wrap it up because Vivian's got 1,000 things to do, or I'm going to be yelling at her by the end of the day.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry about the phone thing. It's
No, you're fine. Sometimes I get loud too when I'm trying to talk over you so you'll hear me.
yeah.
And I do that sometimes. I'm not yelling at you, and I'm not mad at you, and I'm not
Well, I'd be
screaming
mad at
anything
you.
like.
Oh, I'm laid
You
back.
be mad at you?
See, I'm laid back in my yelling. When it comes to my son, I'm a devil.
This
You
has
know?
been fun. And you know what did I tell you yesterday? I didn't expect you to be any other way about your own son.
Yeah.
I'd be the same way about my son. I'd be protective. I'd want to know exactly what I'm doing. And you're right about the fact that a child can be taken. It's the last thing that we ever want to do to anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody.
So you're just going to go ahead and copy that right now?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I think my biggest concern, Richard, is that you appear to be rather obsessed with this particular situation.
You want to know why I'm obsessed with it? So it won't happen again. It's being obsessed. You want to know why?
Why?
Has nothing to do with my psyche. What is psyche? Like,
Your mental health.
my mental health has deteriorated. Depression has completely kicked in worse. Just because you're depressed doesn't mean you're crazy. That's just basically when you have emotional. It's because of his case. So what I'm doing is going back and learning the laws as much as I can. You know why? So it's not going to happen again. It's not. It is being obsessed. It's just like a boxer. I think I've explained that to you.
Right.
You're a champion, or you have been undefeated, or you maybe lost once. That's always stuck in your head, and you're going to do everything you can, train more, study more,
But that's
and then say it won't happen again.
right.
That's
But that's
basic.
if you're facing the same kind of thing. It's just my point is that you're not
I
facing.
am facing the same type of thing.
I'll even give you the original if you want it. You're in the originals, and I don't want you to. It doesn't matter.
The originals
They're
are
both exactly the same.
I'll take this one.
Okay, it's for you. It's blue. But I do want to be serious for just a second, though, and explain to you that if you don't sign this safety plan, I'm not pushing you or anything. But I need you to understand very clearly, if you don't sign it, we have to relook at all this and determine what the next step would be. and realize it becomes out of your control at some point, possibly, irregardless of how you feel about it. And I don't want it to be out of your control.
Well, I didn't sign anything.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I have to sign. Basically, what I'm saying is to give anybody authority, it took me 14 years to graduate, so I'm trying to be smart here.
Took me 13. You're not much worse than
Well,
I was.
you're in a much better boat than I've ever been. You're in not the boat saying in a bad way of drowning. But anyway,
Good.
I'm sure he feels the
but
same.
I have to give anybody authorization whether to come into my house, go to my son's school. I have to sign something. When that's not court ordered by the judge, and it has to be because if there's a safety concern of abuse or alcohol, just because me talking to him has nothing to do with safety
And
concern.
that's what I'm explaining to you. You got it exactly right. If you don't sign the safety thing, we could ultimately end up appearing before a court. It's out of our hands at that point, and it's out of your hands. We'll make a recommendation.
Okay.
The judge will make a decision. You may not like that decision near as much as you would having somebody come out and check on things 2 or 3 days a week.
Okay.
Hey, how's things going, Mr. Provost? They're going great. Here's my son. He's doing great. We're
Well,
fine.
that's by why when a caseworker can come over every once in a while and say the same thing. The same thing. Say,
Right.
come over and check.
I won't say every case, but a lot of cases, they start out with 2 or 3 days a week, and then we start cutting it back.
Well, I'm not
We
saying
don't want to waste your money, the taxpayers'
I don't
money.
have any money.
I'm talking about taxpayers' monies. If you ever paid taxes in your life, if you ever worked and paid taxes, this is your money.
Yeah.
We're not going to spend it any
But
more than we have to.
that has to
Keep the
basically,
kids safe.
you basically would have to absolutely find, without a reasonable doubt, that his safety is involved.
Right, and you know what? You
There
can
is
win,
no
too.
safety involved.
Hey, don't get me wrong. We may go this route. We end up in front of the judge. We present our side of it and say, hey, he refused to sign the safety plan. We need to know this child's safe. This is what our concerns were. We've been up front with this man. We've been honest with him. We've told him everything. He feels we haven't been. I'm going to say it. You have felt that we haven't been. We haven't done this. We haven't done that. We haven't done this. And the judge is going to sit there. He's going to listen to all that. And he may say, Mr. Provost, I apologize to you. These people should have never done this to you. Get the hell out of here, take your kid home, and we'll leave you alone. Now, he may say that. You're taking a chance that he may not.
I'm not going to take, there's really no, there has to be a lot more for somebody to lose a child just because,
Let me tell
if you
I see
feel,
it happens every day.
you
If the judge slams that gavel and says we're taking your son out of that court, you're done. You have nothing to
there's
say about it.
no reason for anybody to take
And
it.
I hope there's not.
There isn't any.
And we're trying to get you to sign a safety plan and prove that there's never going to be.
There's never been because nobody's
And there never will
CPS has
be.
never been over my house in their
And
life.
prove it. So,
Well, I'll just let
here's
you
the
know.
problem. We're at a stalemate. You don't want to sign it. We're saying if you don't sign it, we have to review it. So we'll be reviewing it,
Okay.
and then somebody will be in touch with you. So I make sure that we talk to people because you don't want it to be by subpoenas and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
You want to be as cooperative as you can be, even if you're not wanting to sign stuff. I'd still try to be as cooperative as you can.
Number one, I don't have to sign anything without a court order anyway. That's a
And I'm
fact.
not disagreeing with you.
So what's that? You can't take my kid because that has to be ordered by the judge stating,
That's
you
what I'm
better
saying.
do this.
That's what
That's not a court. Where's the court order stating, you better sign this and sign that or you're going to get your kid taken away.
Because this is all done prior to that to keep from having to be.
There's no court order on that, just like you had to have
Because
a
there
court.
don't have to be one. We're
There
trying to keep
has-
from having to have that.
I know the laws, okay? Most of them about that.
We do this every day.
Well, then you're
I'm not
fooling
making
people
that
into signing it.
I'm not making it up.
No, well, Richard, remember what I said about there's an intake unit, there's ongoing, and there's court. Ongoing is there to try to prevent having to go to court, to keep it from having to go to court.
This is at a much lower level than getting up to that
Right, so that's what we're trying to do.
part where we
resolve
make the
those
judge
concerns.
make you do something. And you know what? Even the judge can't make you do
Why
it.
didn't he court order that in the last video?
Because he doesn't, you were there for
He wasn't
visitation.
doing the investigation, dear. He wasn't involved in
But
your
Ernie
house.
Douglas asked for me to sign whatever information about, you still need that forged document, don't you? Complete forgery.
Well, yeah, because, we haven't seen anything, so I don't know. You keep telling us you're going to bring it down. We haven't
Well,
done it yet.
I've got to get my facts straight. Well,
That's okay. Take your time.
you have anything that's been printed out that has lines on it?
That has lines on it?
Anything?
Well, we don't really have something here.
Well, there was a release of information in the investigation that Christina did, and I made a copy of it and gave it to Ray yesterday. So,
Is that what she was talking about?
I think so. I think so.
Where's
I don't know if
that?
that's what he's talking about.
I think so, because
Well, I didn't sign anything.
I know you said that. I'm just telling you what was.
There was
filed.
nothing signed. There was nothing signed.
Richard, I know you've gone over it with me lots of times.
Well, then
I
who
know.
signed the release form? Wasn't me.
I'm not arguing with you about it.
Well,
I
where's
wasn't
it at?
there.
Where's
I
that?
wasn't a part of it.
Well, where's the release form that I
You
signed?
have a copy of the form that we have in our.
That is, I did not sign that.
I know that's what you're saying. I know. You've told me that. I'm just letting Delbert know that there was one in the file.
From when, that was recently signed by me?
That was during Christina's investigation.
No, I didn't sign
I
anything.
didn't say you signed it. I said there is one that is signed in that file.
I didn't sign it.
And if she's got that now, then I need her to show that to me. We need to compare it, like what are the dates on yours? And
Well, I have witnesses that I didn't sign anything. I'd never signed anything. My son's organizations open up, and that's one of the step-by-step CPS prevention guides. You never signed anything. That's a fact. I never signed it. So right
I'm not
there,
arguing with you.
well, I want to see what I supposedly signed.
You have a copy of it at home. I saw it in your.
Oh, with the lines all screwed up on it and stuff?
I don't know.
I
if
did
the
not.
lines are screwed
I want the one that you guys have, because that's BS. I never
up.
signed
I
it.
thought we gave it to you. You have it in your.
No, you didn't give it to me. I found it down at Worthington Center.
Oh, okay.
It's the same form?
It was
I think
snuck
so.
in.
I mean, I looked at it the
That's
first day.
why I said,
Okay.
I want to get a hold of the one that Ray Ellis has. If the date on it's the same date as the one you've got, then it's the same one.
No, it's not. Because I have not, because number one,
Well, I know you're saying you didn't sign it, but if we've got a copy of the same one you've got.
I did not sign anything for a
And that's what we
fact.
need to figure out.
I have not signed anything. Because if I sign something on 9, she said 9/18, puts me,
Is that the day you remember?
she wasn't, it was not 9/18. It was 9/19. Number one, I didn't sign anything, and neither would I. It looks close to mine, but it's not. I've had several people look at it and said, you can tell somebody messed with that. I have witnesses that I didn't sign anything. So, whatever, games you guys trying to play, whatever, I'm not,
I don't even know if that's accomplishing, what's it going to accomplish?
because that's
I
called,
don't know what it matters now, though. I
because
told
that
you-
is forgery,
Okay,
and the
okay,
thing
I
about it is, if I sign a release form, for what reason in 9/18, there had been no reason for me to sign that, correct? Absolutely not. And why did she hold, now this is also a good one, if she held on it from that long until court, what does that mean? Number two.
What's it for?
For information from Schwab.
Number
where
two.
he's
Number two,
getting-
if I supposedly sign that, okay, now this makes sense, why would CPS demand for me to sign one in court? You wouldn't have
The
these.
reason is
You-
because you have, whether you signed it or not, you have the right to revoke a release. So we were saying, okay, you dispute that this one was actually signed by you, so we want to ask you for one that you know was signed.
There is none.
That,
Right,
I
and you
understand
said
what
you
you're
didn't want
saying.
to, so you
And you
haven't
said
done
you
it.
didn't want to.
We'll give me the release form and I'll mark it out then. Say that I didn't sign it.
Well, we can't change documents now.
Well, it's going to be changed because I didn't.
And we'd have
I mean,
to-
we can make a copy of it for you, but you can't change the
I did
original.
not sign that
But Richard, what I'm saying is, why does it make that much difference now?
because
I am
that's
not gonna call-
forgery. She forged the whole
Okay.
document.
But I'm saying, in your case, the safety of Jordan, okay, I'm not calling Schwab and sending them that release and say that you said it was okay.
They know
for
I
them.
didn't sign it.
Right, so we didn't use it.
I'm not using it.
That's forgery. It doesn't matter.
I know, but we didn't use it, so.
But you're going to use it. I
No,
hope you don't.
no, I'm not gonna use it. I am not
Well,
going.
then when you find it, you put, whatever the term of it is, void on it. I want void.
Oh, don't worry, we've got it documented numerous times where you've said you didn't sign it.
Well, I want
That's
void.
why I said, I'm
We've
not
said-
gonna
we've
use,
said
I'm
that.
not gonna use
No,
the
I'm
release.
sorry. I just,
No, we've said that numerous times that you didn't sign it. It's documented. I mean, I think we probably put that
So-
in there, right?
So you're going to put on that form, on that release form, I did not sign it because that's what
We
I'm
don't,
saying.
we
That's a
we-
dead investigation. That's an
yeah,
old
it's
investigation
not
that's
even-
been closed.
It's not even in play.
It's not in my investigation, and it's not in my folder.
Okay.
I pulled it off of the file cabinet where there are old investigations.
If we were going to talk to Dr. Schwab now, we could only do so if you sign a form.
Exactly.
Or if they say that there is a safety.
That's a breaking the HIPAA law, they still can't get it.
No, they have to. If they believe that a child is
They can,
if they believe
She
a
means
child,
Schwab, not us.
if
he still has to
they're
sign it.
they're mandated reporters. They have to talk to us if they believe there's abuse
That's-
or neglect.
If there's abuse,
I mean,
There has to be a court order stating, so you're going to argue that with a judge that you can just go down there at any time? No, you can't.
If they can come talk to us.
we're not going to go to them. They have to call us and say, I think
Abuse
there's
and
a thing.
neglect is going on. They are mandated reporters. They have to tell us.
Policemen, firemen, doctors, lawyers?
Nurses, no.
Lawyers shake.
No, that's different. A police officer is way different from a CPS worker because you guys follow the same laws.
Or any
So,
social workers, healthcare professionals. They see abuse and neglect or believe it.
if they report it, but if you go down and start asking questions, you can't do that. That's breaking the HIPAA law. You cannot call
But they do
Christina
have
Webb.
their-
Well, you can ask Christina Webb this. Why was she calling my doctor at Worthington? She can't call down there and ask for information.
I don't know. She's not doing the investigation.
Well, can I bring something in well, it has nothing to do with the investigation. So I can bring something in from my doctor stating, yeah, she called me out of nowhere. And I can also bring in signed things from principals that she was...
Richard, and I'm not saying this because I want to hide something that somebody may have done wrong, but you get so caught up in
Because I know what the
details.
laws are.
But this isn't helping Jordan. You're focusing. Remember when I talked to you on Monday and I said, it is a beautiful day. What'd you guys do today? And both of you said nothing. You stayed in the house. You didn't go outside.
That's not every day we do that.
I know.
We
but
don't do
when
it
I
as
came-
much.
I know. And then when I came and I asked you, make sure that you and Jordan go outside, enjoy this beautiful weather. We've been waiting forever for spring to come. It's finally here.
We're going outside in the middle of winter playing. It just depends. It's not as much as we used to do. We have a couple big fields right there. It's just, I should do a lot more.
You're thinking about this all the
Yeah,
time.
but that does not mean
you're
that
not
I don't
going
take
out-
him outside.
But you're not going out and playing basketball with him. You're not taking him to do
Not
things
every
that
day.
you used to.
Not as much as I used to. I should clarify that is what I mean.
Okay.
Because you guys are always coming over, I'm half dead anyway. Like yesterday, I was still sleeping. So,
That's part of my concern, is that you're not living your life with Jordan and enjoying and teaching him what he needs
So,
to learn from his dad.
Jordan will
because
tell
you're
you.
focused on this.
So you're going to tell me that Jordan's going to tell you, my dad, I don't like him because, not every day that we pass football. That's not a concern.
I don't know what Jordan is going to tell me. You haven't let me talk to him alone.
Well, he's not going to be talked to. And number two, a lot of times we'll go, there's like last summer we went out there, these kids that live at Terrapin, they're a bunch of hoodlums. He's not going to be around them. Now, if there's a couple little girls that can go out there and talk to them. But a lot of these kids out there are bullies. I mean, I'm not going to risk it. Now, we were during summer on and off that we're going out there as long as there wasn't a bunch of kids out there because, they want to start fights and push him because he's smaller than everybody else. When we used to go out, there's a field, not a field, but where, I don't know if it's Gallagher Music behind it, there's like a big parking lot. We went out there. But, the kids up there, F you and your cuss. But, I mean, kids, 7, 8 years old, playing out, it's just, I don't want to, because I grew up brown-back kids and I just got out of it.
Well, the bottom line is, you don't sign a safety plan. We'll figure out what we have to do from there, and we'll be in touch with you.
Okay.
And that's all we can really leave it at for right now.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right.
All right,
Appreciate it.
let's get out of this hot.
We don't have heat or air in this whole building. Everybody is sweating.